Once again, a very warm welcome to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for another E-Award through our little E-Club that we run here at British Union Conference. We want to welcome you all here in the Zoom. We have a full room here, and also for all the people who join us on a Facebook Live. And now we're going to start with a prayer, and then straight after that, you will hear from our presenter. She's going to tell us a little bit more about herself, and then we're going to go straight to the Pearly Gates Adventure Award. Let's bow our heads and pray. Dear God, thank you so much for the time we can be together. Thank you, dear God, for the opportunity for us to grow and to develop even through this means. And we want to pray, dear God, that as you bless our presenter, that you bless every single pathfinder, every single adventurer, every single parent, club director, every coordinator, missions or conference director who is supporting, who is actually being part of this. And also for those who don't know, we ask, dear God, that you help us share this good news with them as well. Also, what we want to say, dear God, be very close for those who are not feeling so well right now. We want to pray for your hand of blessing and healing upon those who are sick. And we want to ask, dear God, that you bring end to this pandemic. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. Amen. So here it is. My friend, it is your time. And so before we start, please tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, hello, everybody. My name's Cedrine Buerta, and I live in Scotland, more specifically in Perth. And I live in my little house with my husband, Pastor Jimmy. And we have a little cat, and her name is Kalula. Now, maybe you'll be lucky enough to see her during this afternoon session. At the moment, I don't see her anywhere around, but I'm hoping that she will come and say hello to everybody. Now, you might hear from my accent that I am not originally here from the UK. So I was born in Zimbabwe, and when I was 11, I moved to South Africa. And then in 2006, we moved here to Scotland, and that's where we've been living all this time. And I absolutely love working and sharing Jesus with you guys. So hopefully you'll enjoy today's session.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Is it your cat, a Scottish cat, or is it not?
She's part Scottish and part South African because she can understand our language, Afrikaans.
Very good, very good. So thank you so much for taking time to help us with this beautiful award. For everybody who is watching, who joined us now, once again, welcome. Please use chat rooms which we have available for you to pose the questions and comments. And I will be monitoring the Zoom chat room while Natalie will be monitoring the Facebook. And that way we'll be able to feed the questions and the comments to our presenter. At the same time, my friends, we would like to ask you that if you would like to speak, just put a hand up and we'll try to see you, despite being really hard, and we will try to unmute you. So now let's go to Pearly Gates.
All right. Well, guys, today we're going to be talking about pearly gates, which pearls are very precious stones. And I'm hoping that you will enjoy what we're going to talk about. And I'm going to share my screen with you. And a little bit later on, there's going to be a special guest appearance, not by the cat, but by a very special friend of mine, Professor Noodlebrain. So I'm hoping that you will look forward to getting some information from her too. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And then we'll go through. Is that showing anybody?
Yeah, we can see it. We can see it. You just need to go into presenter mode.
Yep.
And there we have a full screen now. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. So I'm sure you can see from this picture, you have now a little bit of an idea of what we're going to talk about. So this is all about heaven and what is going to be, it's going to be like when Jesus creates the new earth. So once we've been in heaven, then we come back down to this earth that Jesus is going to redo, remake. What is it going to look like? And specifically, what is this city going to look like that we're going to live in heaven? So let's go on. Right, so what we're going to do today is just go through what we need to do in order to get this honor. So the first thing is we need to find a promise in the Bible. Where does it tell us that Jesus is coming soon? And then we have to name a Bible book and chapter that describes what will happen before Jesus comes. So think of it as a special invitation. Something big's going to happen. So we have to know what's going to happen before that happens. Then we're going to make a list of all the signs that Jesus says is going to happen before he comes. And then we need to know, how did Jesus go up to be with God? And is he going to come back the same way?
So just before you continue, before
Yeah.
all the adventures for a day, if you would love to complete this award, these would be your requirements. Is that right?
Yes. So if you want to, yes. So these are the requirements if you want to complete this award.
And I'm sure everybody here would love to have it because it's a very pretty award. At the same time, what is the most important is actually the knowledge behind that.
Yes. All right. Now there's some more criteria, some more things that we have to look at quickly, and we're going to go through each one in more detail. So then we're going to look at, what does the holy city going to look like? Because Jesus has already told us. And then we're going to find the promise and we're going to memorize it. And then there's two things that you need to do at home. And then you hand that into your leader when you go back to church. So we'll talk a bit more about that in just a second. So let's get started. So a promise. I'm sure you've heard of your mom and dad saying to you, well, if you do your homework or if you do clean up your room, I promise that you are going to be able to use your laptop or the computer or use your Xbox. And so you do it because you know that what your mom and dad have promised, that's going to happen. So a promise is something that you know is absolutely guaranteed. And a promise is something that lasts forever. And Jesus has given us exactly the same promise, that he is going to come again and take us to heaven. I'm hoping that you have learned this in Sabbath school and in Adventurers. So we're going to look a little bit more about that. Right, so where can we find this promise that Jesus is going to come back again? There's two places that we can find those promises. The first one, which I'm hoping that you will be able to find in your Bibles, is in John chapter 14, verses 1 to 3.
It is very important just to, before we read that, just to remind our adventurers that we have a worksheet ready for them, and we hope you downloaded that worksheet. So as our presenter goes through this award, you actually can find almost every information you need. So if you don't have it, it might be good for you to download it and go with it as she's presenting. Yes, let's go.
All right. So I'm hoping, yes, like Pastor Dan said, you've got your worksheets there and that you are going to start filling in it as we go along. So let's look at the first one that you can choose either one of these verses. John chapter 14, verses 1 to 3. And it says, "Don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God and trust in me. There are many rooms in my Father's house. I would not tell you this if it were not true. I am going there to prepare a place for you. After I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again. Then I will take you to be with me so that you may be where I am. Isn't that a fabulous promise, guys? Where's the next one? Can you remember? Let's see, it was in Acts chapter 1. Now, before we go there, do you look at this picture? Now, imagine that verse. Jesus says, in my Father's house are many mansions, many rooms. Have a look at this house. Can you decide if you were to go and live in this house, which one would be your room? Maybe the one at the very top, maybe the one on the side. Imagine going up and exploring all of these rooms. And that's what Jesus has said. There's going to be many rooms in heaven. Now, the next verse is Acts chapter 1, verse 11. He also promises there, he says, why are you looking up into the sky? You saw Jesus taken away from you into heaven, but he will come back in the same way you saw him go. So there's another promise that when Jesus went up to heaven after he rose from the dead, he said to them, I'm coming back. And there we have that promise as well. So I hope that on your worksheet, you've chosen either John chapter 14, verses 1 to 3, or Acts chapter 1, verse 11. And I hope you've written it down there on your first answer.
Excellent. And also, just want to check for everybody who is watching this on Facebook Live and Zoom, would you, if you would like to go to heaven, would you mind just writing yes in your chat room so we just know that maybe that we are doing the right workshop for you? If you want, just write a yes for us. Thank you.
Exactly. I'm hoping that through this promise, it'll help you get excited that you would want to go to heaven and that you're looking forward to Jesus coming back soon. And if you are, then this is the right honor for you to be doing today. So let's go on. Oh, now look at this. That promise where the disciples were looking for Jesus. Where did he go? And we're still looking for Jesus, but he is coming back. He's definitely coming back to see us. I'm hoping you're enjoying some of the little cartoons on there. Are we sometimes like the disciples, though? Are we not looking for Jesus? I'm sure you are. And that's why you're doing this honor today, to find out.
Yes, just to let you know, Sajid, that we have a lot of people in chat rooms, in Zoom, and also on Facebook Live, which actually want to go to heaven, and they wrote a big yes for this. So it seems to me we have a really good group here who came for the right award.
Oh, brilliant. I'm so happy, and I'm so glad that you guys have that in your heart to say yes, that you want to be going to heaven one day. So now let's see. After you've written down which verses are the promises of Jesus' coming, I wonder if we can figure out where in the Bible does Jesus tell us what's going to happen before he comes back. So just like you are planning a birthday party or you're planning a big event, you've got to know what's going to happen before that takes place. And Jesus has given us a clue. And so I wonder if you in the chat room, for maybe some of the older ones, if you can guess. So write in the chat room or write on your piece of paper, where do you think we could find the clues that Jesus has given to us is what's going to happen before he comes.
And just
Right?
before we go further on in presentation, maybe just give a couple of seconds, people, so that other adventurers can actually write in the chat rooms. We have already a lot of comments coming from here on Zoom. So let me just read. Okay, a majority of them are actually posting the Bible text, but if I understand properly, the question is, what are the clues? Is that right?
Yeah. So we're going to get to the clues. So have they said which is the Bible verse?
Our Bible verse, here it is. We have Luke 21, Revelation, Matthew 24, Daniel 11. We have a Revelation, somebody says, I think Revelation 3. We have Matthew 25, 1 to 13. And let me see what is coming here on Matthew 24. There is, people are mentioning Psalm as well. That there is a promise there as well. Genesis 3:15, somebody said. It is actually hard to read how many comments are coming to Revelation 4. So I think that I think our audience knows the Bible.
I think they do, which makes me think that this is going to be the easiest honor that they've ever done.
Maybe the easiest, but certainly one with the best result, I would say.
Well, thank you everybody for your suggestions and your guesses and your interaction there. And for those that have given the Matthew chapter 24, let me tell you that you are all, let me think, are you spot on? You are indeed. Well done. Hi. Yes, Matthew chapter 24 is the book in the Bible and the chapter in the Bible that describes what will happen before Jesus comes. So on your worksheets, I'm hoping that you can look at the next item, and where it asks that question, you'll be able to write on there Matthew chapter 24. Now, that doesn't mean all the other suggestions that were given aren't correct, but there are lots of places in the Bible Jesus gives us these promises and hints of what's going to happen before he comes back. So for this one today, we're going to look at Matthew chapter 24. All right. So I'm hoping that you've written down on your sheet of worksheet. And if you're ready to move on, let's give Pastor Dan and me a thumbs up.
Yeah, the thumbs up, they're ready. Absolutely.
Good stuff. All right. So let's read what Jesus is saying in Matthew chapter 24. He went up onto the Mount of Olives. His followers came to be alone with him. They said, "Tell us when these things will happen and what will happen to show us that it is time for you to come back again and for the world to end." Now, when they talk about the world to end, that is when Jesus is coming again. All right. So can you imagine? Jesus had been preaching to them, telling them about what was going to happen. They came to him all by himself and said to him, "We want to know when this is going to happen and what we need to look out for." So Jesus started giving them the things to look out for. So I'm hoping on your worksheets that you're going to start looking at the next question, and it should have A, B, C, D, E, F. And if you can now look on there and see what can you add to your worksheet under this question. So Jesus gave them the first hint. He says, "Be careful that no one fools you. Many people will come in my name and they will say, 'I am Christ.' and they will fool many people. Have you been seeing anyone lately coming and saying, "Ooh, I can preach just like Jesus"? Or have you been seeing things on TV that aren't so good? Been reading books maybe? There's going to be coming people who want to act like Jesus, perform many splendid things, and people are going to believe them. And so it's important for us to know which one is the true Jesus. So I'm hoping on your sheet of paper that you're able to write down that people are going to see false Jesus, false Christs. Okay. So we need to be able to know which is true and which is false. So I wonder which one is the next one. So we're going to go to the next hint that Jesus gave us. He said, you will hear about wars, stories of wars that are coming. But this is the important place. Don't be afraid. These things must happen before the end comes. Now, I really hope that this isn't scary for you, because it shouldn't be scary. These are promises that Jesus has made that things are going to happen. And if they don't happen, then he's not able to come back and fetch us. Just as John chapter 14, verses 1-3 says. Have you been seeing that there's lots of people unhappy in the world? We've been hearing of places in Syria and all those places, people that don't have any homes anymore. And these are examples of the wars and the stories of wars that are coming. But Jesus again says, don't be afraid. That's the most important thing. Don't be afraid. These things are going to happen. So I'm hoping on your sheet of paper, on the next little point, you've written down that there will be wars and stories of wars. All right, let's go to the next one, which is very similar to the previous one, which says nations will fight against other nations. Kingdoms will fight against other kingdoms. So what is a kingdom and what is a nation? Well, a nation and a kingdom are like countries. So big countries against other countries.
And just to ask, if possible, for adventurers to type in the chat room which nation they belong to or which kingdom. That also will give us a very good clue who is with all of us here today doing Pearly Gates. Thank you.
Yes. So if you're writing in your chat, on the chat, as to which nation you come from, have you also thought about the nations that live next door to you? So who do we have in the United Kingdom? Now this is interesting. Write in the chat room as well, which countries make up the United Kingdom? And let's see if you can get them right. We should have England. Where am I from? Scotland. We've got our friends from Northern Ireland. We've got, do we have any friends from Wales? Yes, we do. Fabulous. All right. So how many do we have on the chat that have said all the countries in the UK?
So we have quite a few people who know who mentioned all the countries of the UK. On the other hand, you need to know that the list of people coming from different nations and kingdoms is just huge. From Kenya, from Zimbabwe, from South Africa. We would like to ask South Africans to stop speaking Afrikaans. We have Malawi, Switzerland, United Kingdom, United Arab Emirates, Philippines. We have it today with us from all around the world, it seems to me. But a lot of people managed to get all. We have Ghana as well. I just saw Ghana, and and quite a few islands as well. So all together, amazing group of young people with us today.
Amazing, isn't that? And we're all, before, did you ever think before the internet came along, we would have to write letters to each other if we wanted to speak, or you had to use the telephone? Now we can see each other on the screen. We can chat to each other through the internet. Isn't it amazing? And all of these things are happening, which is exciting. So when it talks about nations or fight against nations, then we can see we're all from how many nations that we talked about there. All right, so you know that it's all these places will fight against others. Now, not necessarily all of this will happen in one go, but it's important to know that some of these countries are already fighting against each other. But Jesus says, don't be afraid. Now, what else is going to happen? Matthew chapter 24 says, and there will be times when there's going to be no food for people to eat. So famines. Oh, now for those of you who have talked about the nation that you come from, I wonder if you have any stories that you know about where your country has maybe had not enough rain for it to have enough crops. I know that in Zimbabwe and in South Africa and some of the other places in Africa, the rain, if it doesn't come, then there's not enough food sometimes for everybody to buy. And this is what's happening. But Jesus says, don't be afraid. So let me ask you, can you put in the chat room if you had a really good lunch today? Okay.
I had a very good lunch today as we're waiting for people to put it in. Somebody says it was okay. Somebody said, yum, I did. Somebody says, I made my own lunch. It was delicious. And many others are saying the similar things. I'm wondering what was for your lunch today, and your husband's lunch.
Okay. Well, we had something that is a traditional meal in South Africa.
Can I try to guess what that is? Is that like a massive steak?
No.
I'm sorry. I just had to. Maybe that was stereotyping. Do apologize.
No. So my Pastor Jimmy is from the Afrikaans culture, and they have something that they make called a fat cake in English. In Afrikaans, it's a vetkoek, and it's a dough that you deep fry, and it puffs out to be about this big. It's really, really yummy.
Wow.
And then you can cut it in half, and you can put inside, if you eat meat, like we had some mince with it, some curried mince. But if you don't eat meat, then you can have some lovely roasted vegetables.
You need to stop because I'm getting hungry right now.
You're feeling hungry.
But I can tell you, everybody had amazing lunch. Ophelia Herman managed to send us a picture of her lunch as well, and we are all a little bit jealous. So our adventurers today had amazing lunch, and we say thank you, Jesus, for that.
Amen. Because can you imagine not having your lunch today, not having breakfast, not having lunch, and not even having supper? I can imagine what your stomachs would be, grumbling and making noise like anything. And now, unfortunately, there are people, young children, who don't have any food. And so we need to be able to really think about how lucky we are that we're living where we are and that we've had a good lunch today. So what else is going to happen? Well, we've heard about the false Christ with false people trying to impersonate Jesus. We've heard about the wars. We've heard about all the different nations trying to fight against each other. Now we've heard about people not being able to have food. What else is going to happen? Let's see. Well, there's going to be earthquakes. Now, I wonder if you could, in the chat room as well, tell us if you have ever experienced an earthquake and what was it like. So in the chat room, see if you have lived somewhere where there's been an earthquake.
So we're having people who are saying yes, yes, no. Somebody experienced it in Indonesia, but majority answers is no, which is very good. Let me see. We're waiting for the Facebook as they're a little bit behind us, few seconds. Well, we have quite a few. Somebody broke their leg. I'm so sorry, in earthquake. Somebody never experienced the earthquake. So it seems to me that there's quite a few people who actually did not experience it, but they saw it on TV or social media.
Okay. Well, I would like to give you a fun fact. I don't think you're going to know this, but in the United Kingdom, in the last 2 years, there have been 6 earthquakes. Now, last year, in 2019, there were 5 in England. And so far, now in 2020, there has been 1 which happened on the 23rd of January at about 5 to 6 in the morning. So I don't know if those who have said they haven't experienced an earthquake, you've been lucky in that you weren't in the area that happened in England. So there are earthquakes here happening in the United Kingdom, but we don't have them like the rest of the world. So we are actually in a place where, depending on what happens underneath the earth, we could experience an earthquake, even all the way up here in Scotland.
Some people are actually surprised to hear there was the earthquake in Wales or some other part of the United Kingdom, as they probably haven't felt it. But the reality is the land is moving, and sometimes we don't always feel it. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that fact with us.
Yeah, no problem. If you're like me, I love fun facts, and we're going to find out some more fun facts a little bit later from my colleague, Professor Noodlebrain. She's coming up soon. So going on to the last few things. So I hope on your worksheet that you've written down there that there's going to be earthquakes as one of the other signs that are happening before Jesus comes. So what else is going to happen? Well, it says that the good news about God's kingdom will be preached in all the world, to every nation, and then the end will come. How lovely is that? The good news. What is the good news? The good news is Jesus loves us. He loves you and he loves me. He loves moms, he loves dads, he loves everybody. And with our media that we're using, and we can see through all the nations that are visiting us on Facebook and on Zoom, imagine this is being spread all over the world. That means Jesus is coming soon, because everybody's going to be able to hear about him. And it's the best present. I'm sure if you could write down in the chat group, what would be the most amazing present you have ever gotten so far, and see what we get.
All right, so we have again active question for the chat room. What is the most amazing present you ever got? So let's just see what the comments say. Well, it's coming. Somebody said Ruby Cube. Somebody said I got God Bible. Somebody said camera. Somebody said money. Video game, Xbox. Some people, that is all coming from Zoom. Somebody said I got electric car. Puppy. I would like to have puppy. And let me also see what else we have now on the Facebook. Is they're a few seconds behind. Um, Somebody got a beautiful shoes, which is excellent stuff. Well, somebody on Facebook said the biggest gift I got is life, heaven, my doll. New books. Somebody said the biggest gift I have is God's love. My mom's chocolate cake. Wow. And
Oh,
many,
now I'm hungry.
yes, yes.
Can they share a picture of their mum's cake if they've got one?
I don't think that's possible because then we will all be very hungry. So we won't be able to do that.
Oh, well, guys, I really hope that even though there are some bad things that are going to happen before Jesus comes, it means that the more frequent these things happen, the closer it is that Jesus is coming to fetch us. And he says, don't be afraid. We shouldn't be scared that all of these things are going to happen. So on your worksheets, I hope you filled in all the little section of the signs that are going to happen before Jesus comes. There'll be time at the end. If we've not able to write them down now, there will be time at the end for you to do it as well. So let's go a little bit further, and we're going to look at the difference between how Jesus went up to heaven and how he's going to come back again. I wonder if you could just close your eyes for a minute, and I want you to think back to when Jesus went up to heaven. And it says, where did Jesus go? Did he go up in an airplane? Did he just vanish? Now open your eyes, and if we look at the screen, we're going to go to a text that tells us exactly where did Jesus go after he rose from the dead. And that's in Acts chapter 1, verses 9 to 11, which says, after he said this, he was taken up before their very eyes, and a cloud hid him from their sight. Wow. So Jesus went, whilst he was with the disciples, he went up into heaven, and a cloud came over and they hid him so they couldn't see. Oh, then is it going to be the same when Jesus comes again? Oh, the Bible tells us in 1 Thessalonians 4 verse 16 that for the Lord himself will come down from heaven with a loud command, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet call of God. Now, I want you to think a little bit, and in the chat group, I want you to think about the one that says when Jesus comes, and with a loud command, and with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet call of God. Can you share in the chat room how was that going to be quiet, or is that going to be quite noisy? Because
Yeah, so let's hear. What do you think? Is he's coming gonna be quiet one, or is it gonna be noisy? It is a very important question. People are writing already very loud indeed, quite noisy. Somebody said loud, loud, loud. On Zoom, it seems to me we are getting a lot of noisy responses. So let's just see what is happening on our with our Facebook viewers. everybody here is saying very noisy and loud. It seems to me our two groups agree it's not going to be quiet coming for sure.
That's good. And so can you see the difference there, Adventures? When Jesus went up to heaven, it was quiet. He was only with a few people. And when he went up, he was hidden. But when he comes back again, the Bible tells us it's going to be noisy and it's going to be loud. And it goes on to say that we must be encouraged. We must encourage everybody with these words that was going to happen when Jesus comes again. I'm hoping you're getting excited even more than what you were when we started. Now, I want to see also in the chat group, if you can give us a description of what do you think an archangel looks like? Do you think it is a small angel, or do you think it is going to be a beautiful angel that is quite big?
So, guys, what do you think? Archangel, small, or quite big? So, well, let's just see. Let's just see what's happening. Massive angel. Yeah, well, big, definitely big, beautiful angel as well. And somebody used the word humongous. I haven't used that word for a long time. So noisy and so big. I think that that is definitely the overall message from our adventurers. That angel will be big and very noisy, maybe at the same time.
Yes, excellent. So I'm hoping now on your worksheet, you'll be able to tell the difference between, is it going to be the same when Jesus comes back as when he was taken up to heaven? All right. And if you don't have time to fill that in just now, again, you'll be able to fill that in a little bit later after the session. But now we need to try and look at memorizing the verse of John chapter 2, verse 2 and 3. And it's going to be a little exercise. And so on the chat group, if you don't know this verse already, there's a few hints on the right-hand side of your screen. And I want you to see if we can guess which of the words needs to go in there first. So in my Father's what? Let's see if everybody can quickly put their words down there. What word do you think needs to go in there, guys?
Excellent. So we have in my Father's house. People are putting house.
Good. Are many what? What do you think, guys? What should go in there?
We have a word mentions. Mentions is coming for word number 2.
Well done. Mansions is spot on. All right. And if it were not so, I would have, now this is going to be maybe a tough one. What do they think?
I would have, let's see what comes up. Told you, it says.
Yes. All right. Good stuff, guys. You're doing well. And then the verse says, I go to, what words do you think will fit in there, guys?
Let's see for that. It says, they are saying, our adventurers are writing down, prepare a place.
Ah, you see, I think they have learned this one off by heart already.
It looks to me for sure that they know it.
Yes, so I go to prepare a place for you. And then Jesus promises, and if I go and, I'm sure you've got this one, guys.
And so let's see what comes up. It says, I will come again.
Okay, we've skipped ahead there a little bit. What do you think will go? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words that needs to go in there.
Oh, okay. People are writing down, prepare a place for you.
Yes, there we go. All right. So it says, and if I go and prepare a place for you, then what our adventurer said, I will
come again.
That's it.
Oh, yes.
Adventurers right there. I will come again and receive you. This is an easy one.
Yeah. Well,
Unto myself.
myself, that's right.
Good. I was ahead of them there. That where, what do they say?
Where, let's have a look. Where I am.
That's it. Good stuff. That's where I am there. Which is the last one we have?
We have, okay, here it is. You.
Fabulous.
That's it. Well done, everybody.
You maybe. Well done, everybody.
For everybody. Well done, guys.
Yes. All right. And so let's say that together, everybody in your own homes. Let's just say it together once more. So in my Father's house are many mansions. And if it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. Good stuff, guys. And so now comes our lovely, interesting bit. And I'm going to need some extra help on this. All right. So I'd like to introduce you to Professor Noodlebrain. So she is a friend of mine, and she loves explaining difficult things. And so I've asked her to come along and help us learn about what the holy city is going to look like. And so, give me a second. How's my brow? Right, Professor Noodlebrain here. And I'm going to share with you today about what the holy city is going to look like. So give me a wave, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. So Professor Noodlebrain is my name, and I love science. I love everything about mysteries and solving things that don't quite make sense. And so today we're going to do a little bit more digging about what the holy city is going to look like. So I'm hoping that you can see our screen, and I'm hoping that you can imagine the city. So for this exercise, I want you to close your eyes, all right? And I'm going to tell you what the holy city is like based on what Jesus tells us in the Bible. And then I'm going to share some fun facts with you.
Professor Noodlebrain, just to give you a little bit of time, we have maybe about 10 minutes, just to let you know.
That's good. That's all we need.
Excellent.
All right. So could everybody just close their eyes? And I'm going to tell you the descriptions. And in your mind, I'd like you to start imagining all of these things. So the Bible tells us that the new Jerusalem, the holy city, shines with glory of God. Its brilliance is like jasper, clear as crystal. And I'll tell you a little bit about jasper in a minute. It's got a high wall with 12 gates and with 12 angels at each gate. On the gates is written the 12 tribes of Israel. There's 3 gates on each side. The names of the apostles or disciples are written on the foundations of the wall. So the foundation is the bottom part of the wall. And so the city is laid out like a square. And then it goes on, the wall is made of jasper and the city of pure gold. The foundations have got 12 layers, each with a precious stone. Jasper, sapphire, agate, emerald, onyx, ruby, chrysolite, beryl, topaz, turquoise, jacinth, and amethyst. The 12 gates are 12 pearls, each gate a single pearl. The great street made of transparent glass, and there's a river of life that flows, clear as crystal, flowing from the throne of God, down the middle of the great street of the city. On each side of the river stood the tree of life, bearing crops of 12 fruits. How you think? Open your eyes, everybody. All right, open your eyes. On the screen, you should see some of these precious stones that are mentioned in the Bible. So I'm going to share with you what they look like very briefly. All right. So the first one is jasper. So remember it said that the wall is made of jasper. And you can see it's a lovely dark red color. The name means spotted or speckled stone. And it's along with one of the traditional birthstones. So each month of the year has got a stone that matches up with the date, the month of date. And so also it was one of the stones on the high priest mentioned in the Old Testament. He had a breastplate, and it's one of the stones that are mentioned on there. Now, I hope you can see this color. It's really lovely and red. What else did they mention in there? Sapphires. Sapphires are lovely blue colors. And sapphire comes in a rainbow of colors, from vibrant blue to a mid-sky blue to navy blue. And they are the strongest of all the natural gemstones. But what's the strongest? The diamond. After the diamond is the sapphire. What do we have next? The agate. And I know a special young lady in the Dunfermline church who's named after this stone. And she has been named after Agata. Now, Agata is this lovely sort of brown stone. It doesn't look very nice, doesn't it? But it is one of the best materials to use when carving out of stone. It is beautiful. What others did they use? Emeralds. I'm sure you've all heard of emeralds, the lovely green precious stones. And if you've been in school doing some history, I'm sure you've heard about Queen Cleopatra. She was Queen of Egypt. And it was one of her favorite jewels. It was, she used to have it in all of her dress and fancy things that she had. And it is one of the oldest stones that dates back to Babylon. So if you know stories in the Bible that comes from Babylon, you remember Daniel, he was taken to Babylon. Now you think about how old emeralds are really. And then we have the onyx. Onyx is also very much found in Egypt, and they were used to make bowls and how they used for pottery to be able to eat out of. It was something that didn't break easily, and it would hold water, didn't leak. One of the nice things is it's mentioned in the Bible several times. And it's also, it comes in different layers. If you can see there, it's got some lovely white layers in there. All right. The ruby being a lovely red one, it's going through. You can see there, it's quite expensive. It's one of the most expensive ones, second to the diamond. Then we have a chrysolite, which is a lovely green color. And you can see green, almost like the emerald, is one of the ancient Egyptian stones. And they used to love this. Queen Cleopatra also loved using this in all her fancy dress. The beryl is a lovely yellow stone, and it is very rare. And if you have one of these, you find it, it can be worth quite a bit. And it can reach up to many, 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 many dollars and pounds. Topaz is a lovely blue one. And they used to think of this stone has got healing powers. And that's why that was so valuable. Turquoise, again, going back to Egypt, they used to use it in all their headdress, making all these fancy things. And hopefully this should be the last one that we have. Second last one, the jacinth. And it was the third row in the priest's breastplate. So we've had two of them that we know about. And the last one, the amethyst, or the lovely purple color. Oh, now if you could choose which one of those gems, would you write onto the chat quickly which one of those gems you would love the best?
Oh, I can tell you that our adventurers were writing already. Many said the ruby, sapphire, turquoise. Well, ruby is winning at the moment. Oh,
Yeah.
Topaz is coming in, and many other comments. I think that this will be. I can see. Well, somebody just said I like them all, which which I probably feel the same. It is very interesting how. It is very interesting how. Oh, somebody said they love onyx as well. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Lovely. All right. Well, our time is almost up. So what I need to do for you now is to explain. So the two things that you need to do now at home is, in order to get your reward, is for mom and dad to record you acting out one of the parables in the Bible that it talks about Jesus coming again. So I've given you some hints here. You've got the 10 virgins, or the lost sheep, or the lost coin. You can choose one of those, or you can choose maybe the one about the sower. And so if you could act that out, you can use your brothers and sisters, come up with a lovely plan together, act it out, get mom and dad to record you, and you can give that to your adventurer leader as well.
Also, we would like to have, if possible, some of those videos or photos. So I would like, if it's possible, to just post my email in the chat room. So if you can, please do email us those photos. We will share them with everybody else this coming week. So as you do recording, and as you put this also as your requirement down in your folders, make sure that you send us some photos as well.
All right. Okay, guys. And then the last thing that you'll need to do in order to get the award is you can either download the coloring page that we've put up on the website, or you can be a little bit more adventurous and you can create a poster or even a model of what you think the holy city is going to look like based on what we've learned today. And so I just wanted to share with you quickly, this is my model I've made over here, which is, you can see on the picture as well. And hopefully you can see on the right hand side of your picture of the screen, you've got all the different gems. And just for everybody, if you could see, I put the tree right in the middle there as well, which is some broccoli. All right. So what do we need to cover off? So on your sheets of paper, on your worksheets, let's quickly run through to make sure you guys have all the answers that you need. So for the first question, it was find and read the promise of Jesus' second coming in the Bible. And I hope you've chosen either John 14, verses 1 to 3, or Acts 1, verse 11. For the name of the book and the chapter that describes the answers, it's Matthew chapter 24. And I'm hoping that you were able to put the list of things that are going to happen before Jesus comes down. So this PowerPoint will be available afterwards as well, so you can come back to look at it. All right, and how did Jesus ascend to heaven after he rose? He went up. And when he comes again, he is coming down with a loud voice of the archangel. All right. And then it asks to give you a description of the holy city. And I hope that you'll be able to write down some of the things that you remembered from today. And then you need to remember to memorize John chapter 14, verse 22 and 3, and record your acting out of the parable, and then doing your poster and your model or your coloring in sheet. So I hope you guys enjoyed today. And if you leave your comments, that would be great.
Excellent. Well, Professor Noodle Brain, big thank you for an amazing presentation. So what I'm going to do is, if it's possible for you to stop sharing your screen, I'm going to unmute our listeners so we can say a big thank you and give you a big clap. So that because that is pretty much all we can do at the moment. Don't worry, I will help you as well. Where is it? Stop participant sharing. Here it is.
There we go.
Very good. And what we're going to do is now we're going to go to the gallery view. So can I please everybody ask to give a big clap?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. 000.